You are now watching from a winner's view.
Winner's view. All right. We got the Voodoo Viking, Zeus. Welcome to Winner's View. It's your first time on here, so I'm gonna ask you the question that everybody else, that I ask everybody else. What makes you a winner?
What makes me a winner? I guess the word quit doesn't exist. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if I got a broken nose, torn rotator cuff, whatever. We don't stop. So winning really isn't even a thing either, because there's no point that you can hit that you're done. So I guess that's the definition you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what makes you a winner. And in this industry, why are you a winner in this industry right now?
I'm sure other people would tell you that I've achieved something that a lot of people spend a lifetime trying to achieve. You know, I took my high school job, I bought it. As far as competition is concerned, I coach people to a professional level. I coach myself to a professional level. I don't have a coach that oversees my programs. It's all made right here in-house, based off of my predecessor and his training style.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna take it back from the beginning, man. Where are you from, Zach?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia. All right, cool. Since we're at the beginning, what was your first time like when you walked into this flex gym?
I was 12 years old, turning 13, playing football, and no, I'm sorry, I was 13, turning 14, and my football coach was going into my freshman year, so that summer my football coach brought me in here for the first time. It was back in 2002. And as soon as I walked in, I saw one guy that was maybe 6'6", 350 pounds, and I thought to myself, I just got done playing this dude in one of my video games. And I said, the hell with that shit. I'm staying here the rest of my life.
So, what was the first time meeting Al, the owner of the gym? What was that like?
That same time, I saw that same guy that was 6'6", 350 pounds, getting cussed at by Al, and him doing whatever Al told him to do, along with everybody else in the gym. The idea was, my football coach was a trainer here at the time, so he was going to take us away from, or take the athletes he had and put them through Al's program so we could bring it back to the high school gym to the other football players.
Okay. So you played football, went through high school under Al's program.
Yep.
You also did rugby training.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You actually played it. You played rugby in college.
Yep.
Okay.
So in high school, wrestled, track, football, fought a little bit of boxing, a little bit of combat sports, nothing too serious. Played rugby right before I went to college, on the men's league to learn how to play it. And I went to Longwood University and played rugby for Longwood University.
And how did the training from here help you in those sports?
Well, we used the strength training from here. So what I would do is in his program, he would have us either bodybuild or powerlift, not bodybuilding in the sense of the sport. He would have us basically find a deficit and build it up. So if you had weak hips, he would build your hips up. And then he would put us into powerlifting to translate it to measurable strength. And then we would go right back to our sport. So if we were a football player, for the 4 months we would do maintenance, and for the next 8 months we would do bodybuilding and powerlifting.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? And based off your sport, so if you're a football player, you know, if you did wrestling for conditioning and balance, if you did track for explosive stuff, you would still do your powerlifting here. So when I got to college, we just maintained that in the seasons that were less important, because rugby you play year round,
right,
but it's tournaments and stuff. So you have a main season that we would slow the powerlifting up, and then the off season we would amp the powerlifting back up.
Gosh.
All right, man. It's no secret. You're 300 plus pounds, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Muay Thai, boxing. Tell us a little bit about that. Some of us may not know anything about it, but I for sure know that you were a Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah. So my family is in the fight industry. My cousin's a professional fighter. He's been fighting his whole life. He became a pro boxer, a pro Muay Thai fighter, and by default, we all have to step in line with whoever the pros in the family are.
Yeah.
So you can't hang out with him without having to fight, because he's going to fight you whether you wanted to fight or not. So you might as well go ahead and fucking learn how to do it. You might as well learn how to do it, because if anybody knows who my cousin is, Brian Collette, I call him Brian the Lion. He's just one of those guys. He has one speed, and has 100%. So whether he's playing or training you, is 100%. You know, and his training style and stuff isn't for everybody. It's for competitors. It's for people that want to really learn how to fight. So jumping in with his boxing coach, getting an introduction that way, jumping in with his Muay Thai coach, jumping in with him as my coach. Muay Thai is something that we did just out of a passion. You know, we would use our strength training and apply it to Muay Thai so I could develop the fighters more. But I wasn't 300 pounds when I fought. I would fight at 240 pounds. So we cut down.
So you went through football, rugby, you was fighting. What was the transition from you being an athlete, now you're owning a gym? Like, how did that, what was the transition?
So, well, that was just, don't go to sleep on opportunity. You know, something, owning the gym was always the goal. You know, in high school, my senior year, they did this stupid ass thing where you got to write down where you see yourself in 10 years. I was like, okay, great. I wrote something in an envelope, put it in the envelope. The class president took it all, put it in a box. And at our 10-year high school reunion, we opened up those envelopes, and my envelope said, owner of Flex Gym. Oh. So at my 10-year high school reunion, I had actually just purchased 25% of the gym. Man. I was a trainer here since high school. Like I said, I was trained by Al, trained under Al, learned his methods. His clients trusted me, so when it came time for his business partner to retire, she let me start buying her shares out. Wow. Then I partnered up with Al. Great opportunity. It was too short-lived. You know, I didn't get a chance to actually develop as an owner under him. Mm-hmm. But as a trainer and a coach, everything stems from him. Yeah. Every thought process.
That's a hell of a manifestation. You wrote that out in high school, and then boom, this is what you do.
I wrote it till I opened up the envelope.
That's cool.
I was like, I forgot this stupid ass shit. Right. I guess it wasn't that dumb.
Yeah, right. All right, so get here. You're a trainer. How'd you get into powerlifting? Or was you doing it before, or what?
So I would always have a Flex Gym Classic, bench and deadlift classic. Okay. Every year, unsanctioned. But back then, sanctions were different. You know, if you did a powerlifting meet, you couldn't look it up online. You had to wait for the magazine to come out to see what you did. Eventually, Open Powerlifting was able to record and display what you accomplished, you know, within 24 hours in some cases. But back then, Al would host a meet, and we would all compete in that to support the gym and kind of push ourselves a little bit, test ourselves, see what we did. He would put us in a couple meets throughout the state. Back then, the federation we used was USAPL. Well, when I was doing it, was USAPL, and it progressed into the federations now. When Al passed, I kind of had to put up the gloves and focus on what the base of what we do is. So after he passed, Mercedes and I did a couple bodybuilding shows just so I could touch base with the bodybuilders. Mm-hmm. And I met Mira, who's my wife now. She had a powerlifting gym, and we jumped back full blown onto powerlifting from that point on. Oh, okay. For those who don't understand, explain the sport of powerlifting. Consists of 3 lifts: squat, bench, and deadlift. You get 3 attempts for squat, 3 attempts for bench, 3 attempts for deadlift, all within a certain set of rules. You cannot go down in weight. You can either repeat the weight or make it heavier. You know, and then there's coefficients, calculations based off your body weight and gender, things like that give you points, or you can just go off total. So there's a couple different ways you can compete. You know, and when you enter, there's age classes and stuff like that. You just got to pick what fits where you're at. You know, you're a certain body weight, you're a certain age. If you only want to compete in that category, you can only compete in that category. If you can do multiple categories, you get multiple chances at winning. But the primary competition is in the open class. So.
All right. Explain to me here, like you said, Al passing, and just the advice from now your new team. You got Mercedes, you have your wife Amira. Like, what advice were they giving you how to run a gym? Now you're putting together a team. Now you're running your own powerlifting program. Like, give me just some insight on how you had to put that all together with Al just passing away.
So, in my case, it was easy. If I had you said new team. I think it's important to recognize that it's not a new team.
Okay.
It's a legacy team. So the foundation is already built. I just had to give everybody a reason to keep building on that foundation that was already there. If I had to build it from scratch, I would say, if you're a coach, you're a trainer, you want to get something started, call all your friends, all your high school buddies. If you're in your hometown, you give out pro bonos, you give out free shit. You give as much as you can give, because if you're trying to make a community-based gym, you have to pour into that community first. Luckily, the person that I worked under had already done the majority of that groundwork. I just had to let everybody know we were still doing that. Poured back into my friends, poured back into his friends that were still here. Anybody that left, what Al used to tell me is people that left the gym, you just have to treat it like they passed. You know, you hate to see them go, but there's nothing you can do about it. Looking back, there was actually some cold-blooded shit. He kind of said, if you didn't go to my gym, you're dead to me. But it kind of gives you like a sense of just let it go, move on to the next person that's here. You know, instead of getting hung up on what's already gone, you can focus on who's here and who you need to address. You build that person up, and you do a good enough job, other people will come.
That's sound advice.
All right. I got a two-part question, and the third one I'll leave after you answer the first two. All right, so the first question is, what is Team Flex?
Team Flex is, going back to Al, it's a derivative of Al's boys. Back then, Al would give you a shirt, and you're one of his boys. You're one of his competitors, his non-civilian athletes that were in this gym. They were Al's boys. Eventually got turned into his competition team, which I then adopted and turned into the legacy team, because it takes a legacy to beget another legacy, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the second part to that is, to become a member, when Al had the program, it was more so, like you said, his boys, guys that were powerlifting, and I'm assuming now it's just a little bit more that comes with Team Flex, and just kind of you're in the gym and you compete in a competition. Explain a little bit more.
I mean, there's just some organizational points. I mean, we have different ways we like to manage that team. Al, you had to do something in his eyes that justified it. And he had, if anybody knew Al, he had his own set of rules for everything. He had his own way of doing everything. Before, you couldn't get a picture on the wall unless it was a first place picture. You came in with a third place bodybuilding picture. Yeah, you got a medal. He'd say, this is third place. Yeah, take it off the fucking wall. You know, so everybody looking around, you see all these pictures on the wall now aren't necessarily first place. That's not what I would have done. You know what I'm saying? But there's reasons why we have them up there now. So whatever you had to do to justify in Al's mind to get a shirt, you could not buy it from him. Now, we maintain that. You cannot buy it. It has to be earned. Now the Team Flex takes a minimum of 1 year of training under a Team Flex coach. It takes commitment to the team overall. You have to compete annually, or you have to, well, after you compete 3 times, then you have to maintain that competition standard. Either annually compete or annually handle other competitors. You either have to take something that Al taught you or a Team Flex coach taught you and carry it forward, or demonstrate it.
All right, when you say handle, like, what do you mean for guys that's not like powerlifting?
Well, it's almost like a coach. Okay. For a fighter, it would be a corner. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you coach them from start to finish, but it means that come game time, come competition time, you're backstage doing all the bullshit that nobody cares about, loading plates, spray tanning, helping with the refeeds, helping with the water cuts, stuff like that. That's what handling is. Whatever is needed leading up to the comp. If you got to drive 3 hours because someone forgot their posing suit, that's what a handler does.
I'm gonna keep this question PG-13.
Don't do that.
What the hell is up with the sleds? Explain the sleds or the sled pushes. Explain that.
The sleds are exclusive to our people. By our people, I mean people that want to be on the team, people that are on the team, people that we consider on our level. We don't give sled pushes to people that don't belong in here or don't belong training with us. So if you get a sled push and you have a bad attitude about it, and you don't want to do it, maybe you don't belong with us. But sled pushes are a way to take ownership over something you did or didn't do, forgot to do, or if you took too long of a break, or you didn't show up to enough team training sessions, or you didn't show up to support enough competitions, or you misloaded a bar and fucked somebody up. It's taking ownership of what you did. More importantly, it's sportsmanship. If you display poor sportsmanship at any point, whether it's through Instagram messages, whether it's through being creepy to members of the opposite sex or same sex, whatever the fuck you're into, or if you go to a competition and you drop the ball, sled pushes is a way of saying I'm holding myself to a higher standard. So if we don't give you sled pushes, we just don't think you're shit.
All right.
We got to earn sled pushes.
So who's omitted from sled pushes? Like, you know, there has to be, there always is a rule or an exception to the rule.
I gave my own wife sled pushes.
Explain that. What do you mean you gave your own wife sled pushes? What do you mean?
She was in prep for her comp, and she wanted a total elite, and she wasn't focused, and she was joking with her friends. She wanted to go do a deadlift. Because of her lack of focus, she missed the deadlift. So we made her do it 3 more times. And the coaches that were present, she displayed poor sportsmanship for the attitude she had towards the coaches in prep. That's against the rules. And when the whole team is present, everybody's got to follow the rules, myself included. So
that's pretty good. But
it's a standard that she sets for herself too. So, you know, she's got a whole competition team. I've got a competition team. She can't get on my board. I can't get on her board. I can't wear her competition team shirt. She can't wear mine. We have the same rule for prep. If you're running the show, don't argue with the coach. If you argue with the coach, you got sled pushes.
If I could have been a fly on the wall today, because I seen your wife and she's not with the nonsense. If I could have been a fly on the wall today, you gave her sled pushes.
That's a win in the gym.
That's a lose. That's it. Everywhere else.
Once we leave the gym, it's a different story. It's a different story. Them sled pushes come with, I'm picking up your coffee, I'm washing your car, I'm doing all that shit.
You touched on it a little bit, but what distinguishes Flex Gym's powerlifting team from others?
Well, there's a couple different ways we can answer this. You could tell other teams to show up and tell our team to show up and just count heads. But the main difference is our powerlifting team, they don't powerlift, they are powerlifters. You know what I'm saying? They've committed more to it. They've committed more to the sport and each other than most other teams, which is why it's able to grow, because when you have 50, 60 people on the team that are in the competition that understand so-and-so's got 4 kids, we got to get this training done in the next hour and a half because they got to get home to their kids. So-and-so's husband is watching the kids, so we can't bullshit and gossip for 3 hours because the kids are paying the price for it. You know what I'm saying? So everybody understands that everybody works for a living, everybody's got families, everybody's trying to get back to their families. This only works if you include the families in the prep, or at least their commitment to your prep.
Okay.
I think that's what makes a huge difference with our team, why it continues to grow and why it's successful. Because everyone can get behind that one concept of, if I'm not doing something, I'm going to make everybody else better.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
When it comes to your team, it's a mix. You got amateurs and then you got pros. You're a pro. What's the difference between the amateurs and the pros?
In their total, there's a total class difference. You can look at the coefficient and the dots. A lot of pro comps will start, or they call them prime times or professional level comps, invite comps, or comps you have to qualify for. Each federation has their own way of kind of determining what they consider is a pro in their caliber or their rankings. So usually the dots total 425 to 450 and up. But there is an elite total, and that goes by weight class. Once you hit the elite total, you're an elite powerlifter. Essentially, you're a pro. They have an international elite class, which is unarguably a pro on every level or every federation.
Okay.
as far as our training is concerned, you may have a pro total, but you may not train like a pro. Pros don't compete against each other in the gym. No, amateurs do that.
Okay.
Your entry-level guys will compete against each other in the gym. They'll have little gym beefs. They'll do rep-off competitions, stuff like that. Your pro-level guys don't do that. They may total what a pro totals, but if I see them who can bench 225 the most, you're not mentally a pro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're just wasting time. Now, if that's part of your program, if I put AMRAP or something, as many reps as possible, but this isn't arbitrary.
Trivial, back and forth.
Gunsling and shoot off, no.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Right.
Pros don't do that.
Now, just from the time I've been here, I've seen it. Team flex, man. When they go to competition, they be winning like crazy. So, with that, tell me about the success Team Flex has had over the last 2 or 3 years.
I mean, it's been nothing but success. I mean, it's every time you have somebody hit a PR, you have success. Every time you get somebody admitted to the team, it's success. Anytime you have somebody win a competition, that's success. Anytime you have people step up to a pro stage, it's a success. So last year, we made our first real appearance at the America Pro. We brought 3 lifters, myself included. So 2 others, 2 of them placed first, I placed second. Both those lifters are in the military. Either one's not with us anymore, the other one's deployed, so they aren't able to compete this year. But we are still bringing 2 lifters to the pro stage this year. We had a number of lifters do prime time in Vegas. We had a number of lifters doing prime time coming up in Virginia in December. And that's just with one federation, but across the board, it seems whatever goals they set forth, they're beating themselves. And like I said, for amateurs, competing against each other, beating yourself is a successful mark. The pros have different goals, but just having them, or just bringing people up at that level, is a huge success.
With success, right, comes failure. So tell me an instance where you bump your head up against the wall, and we can call it a failure or a mishap, but give me an instance and how'd you overcome it?
There's one instance of a recent failure for myself. A lot of people wouldn't consider it a failure. I still placed first in the comp, so I did not beat the total I wanted, nor beat a previous total that I had made 6 months before, and that was comp in Vegas. Misloaded some weights in the warm-up room, popped my lower back. It was a struggle to get my opener squat. It was a struggle to get my opening.
Popped your lower back.
Yeah, I missed the bar. Got misloaded in the warm-up room by like 120 some pounds. It seems like it's not far-fetched, but when you're working with kilos, somebody saying 5 reds versus 6 reds makes a huge difference when you're talking about 25 kilograms per side.
Okay.
So every time you load up 50 kilograms, you're loading up essentially 110 pounds. I put some chips on the side. I wasn't paying attention to the plates that were loaded up. I stepped out, went to squat it. My back popped. I came collapsing down into the squat rack, and that was in the springtime. Needless to say, I didn't finish warming up. I made it to the platform. Now, I missed my first 2 opener lifts from depth. I just didn't trust my back wasn't going to pop again. But I got it on the 3rd time. And a lot of times when someone has a competition like that, you go into like a real dark place because you think, okay, any sport, we're supposed to beat this football team, this soccer team. We're supposed to win this fight by knockout. And then in an instant, you're fighting for your life just to hang on to the comp. So I call it a failure because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Everyone else said, well, you still did a great job, and they pat you on the back. And all that's bullshit because at that level, you don't need motivation. I don't need motivation. I don't want anybody saying, get them next time, champ, or you're going to do better next time. I know what the fuck I'm going to do, right? I know what I had to do to finish out that comp. So immediately, once I realized what needed to be done, it's okay. I can't hit the total I want, but I got to beat this motherfucker. Okay, so what is he hitting? Okay, he got his squat. Can I land a PR on bench to keep my lead? And I was able to do that in that instance. That's not going to fly every comp. So I have to go back to the drawing board with how I train and how I respond to things. It creates like a different mental place you have to go to every time you squat. You just replay when you fail last over and over and over again. Before you know it, the weight's just flying.
So shit. Now with that, like, what do you do different now? Like, you had that experience. It was kind of a failure. It was a failure. But what are you doing different? And people are seeing you like, man, this dude is coming back super strong now.
Well, people can say super strong, but you know when you have things you were projected to hit in your competition, you didn't hit those things. All the strength you built is still there. All you have now is you have to take strength of mind and apply it to the strength that you built. You have to get back under the bar. You have to keep going after it. The same way that injured you, you can't be afraid to take it again next time you're training. Or realize that you're not actually injured. Realize that you're just hurt, but that's just as much pride as it is muscle tissue. So when you go into your next training, you got to practice so that you cannot get it wrong. You know what I'm saying? Amateurs practice something over and over and over and over and over again to get it right. Pros practice so they cannot get it wrong. It's a different mentality with when you train. When you do a heavy squat, you call it a max effort. I call it practice. You call it a PR. I call it a test. Did you pass your test? You see what I'm saying?
Next week, we got the American Pro Show coming up in Manassas, Virginia. Big showdown. You got Deco Jesus, you got Lionheart 501.
And Alpha Fox.
And Alpha Fox.
Yeah.
How you feel about going into there, man?
I'm feeling pretty good. I know Delco is Joe. He's real confident. He's real confident he's going to win on second attempts. He's real confident that he's going to blow everybody out of the water. He really likes getting everybody riled up. Little comments and stuff in people's posts. Chris and Andrew are both real strong competitors. Everybody has potential to blow somebody else out of the water. There's nobody in that group that can't take it. I think it's going to come down to numbers. I think the practice so you can't get it wrong is going to be real important in this competition, because it's easy to say I'm going to throw a Hail Mary and throw a squat that nobody can beat me at. Okay. Do you have the numbers to match everything you're going to need after that? You know, will your attempts be first and second and I'm done? Or will you save your third attempts so you can maneuver based off of what the competition does? And I think this competition will come down to attempts and numbers. The people that aren't paying attention are going to fall behind. The people that are going to have a chance at winning in the end.
Okay. Right, come up.
And tell the viewers how can they tune in for it if they're not going to be there physically.
The American Pro 2 has a website. You can get on Instagram. It will be live streamed. You can go to WRPF.com and look up the American Pro 2. I'm competing on October 28th. So when you go to WRPF.com, you can scroll down to events and you can look at the American Pro 2. It's a 3-day event, morning and night, morning and night each day. I'll be in the AM session on day 2. So,
start at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right.
I think she wants to come back.
Leading up to this competition, big competition. It's all over Instagram. You got 4 or 5 monsters right now competing to take the throne of the American Pro monster
140 kg class.
Jeez.
140 kg.
Yeah, there's 308ers. Yep.
308ers. If there's one thing you could have changed during this prep, what would it have been? Nothing. So that means you're ready to
Locked
go.
in.
Nothing.
Locked in, ready to go.
That's how you have to look at every prep. You know, you can't say I should have changed this, I should have changed that. You gotta. I mean, it's like, you know, you look at your fight camp and you look at anything you do. If you think you can learn from it, but every recipe you put together is a recipe that you either know works or doesn't work. So we're not going to know if this recipe worked until the day of the comp. You know, how I feel now versus my performance next Saturday. You know, even if it's poor, I look back, I'm like, I'm not going to change anything this prep. I'm just going to change the next prep.
Gotcha.
You know, because there's no end to winning. You know what I'm saying? You don't just win and call it quits. Because the second you win, someone's coming to beat you. So
They all got
yeah.
heels.
All right, on Team Flex, man, let's call him out, or her, him or her. Let's call him out. Who's next? Look in this camera and say, hey, stop bullshitting, get yourself together, stop being an amateur, and get ready to turn.
Calling out Derek. Yeah, he's got over a 500-pound bench. He's got an 800-pound squat in him. He's got a 700-plus pound deadlift in him. It's time he just gets consistent, eats what he's supposed to eat, get his conditioning right. You know, he's only done a year of powerlifting, and he already told him 1950 in the super heavyweight class, his first year. He should easily be in the 2100s by his next count, or in the next 12 months he'll be in the 2100s. Squatting 850 easy. He can outbench me. It's just he needs more consistency with his training, so that each bench looks more consistent. And that's the only issue he has with bench right now.
Derek, you hear that? He's calling you out. You're up next, man.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to beat him on bench real quick next week to let him know.
All right, I got a question, man. So your wife, right? She's a powerlifter,
Yeah.
professional powerlifter. When is her next show?
I think she's scheduled to do the Arnold Classic. I think that's in March. Yeah, March. She's lined up to do the Arnold Classic for her next comp.
I would assume she would answer this a little different, but pound for pound, who's the strongest person in that household?
I'm gonna answer that question.
I guess we'll have to talk to her and figure out.
I'm gonna go with the 2-year-old.
We'll have to talk to her and get the answer to that, because I think she'll answer that question differently. I think she knows a little bit more about who's the big dog in that house. But that's it. Man, I appreciate the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping in with Winner's View, and we wish you luck next week. Go get it. Salute. All right. Anybody want to shout out?
No, we're good.
All right.